So I'm here today with Amy Powell. Amy is a fitness competitor and she has a unique story because she basically got COVID. And what I wanted to bring her on for was talk about how she is starting to exercise again after COVID. This is a question that I've been getting questions about myself as people have been coming down with this virus. What do they do when they do resume exercise, and stuff like that. So Amy, I'll stop blathering right now, and I'll let you just take it over. Would you mind telling people again what happened when you got COVID, and was it bad, and what happened when you started working out again?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it started off with my son. My son, he tested positive on Halloween of all days, and um, my husband works on the East Coast, and I take care of my two kids alone here. So it was just me and my two kids. And 6 days later, I got COVID, and then 2 days after that, my daughter got COVID. So we all had it at the same time. But the symptoms were very light at first, and the kids had it mild. But the symptoms for me, it started with just a very light cough, and you think like, well, where did that come from? And then it progressed to more of a cough, and it was gradual, but it got worse every single day to a degree. And I started feeling very tired and off, and low grade temperature. Always between 99 and 100. Then about on day 8, it was pretty mild throughout the first week. And then on day 8, I woke up with a fever of 104. My jaw was shaking. I was chattering, sweating. So I called the doctor, and they took me in right away. And they gave me a chest x-ray. They gave me a CAT scan. And at this time, the cough had progressed to just a deep, rough, harsh cough right in the center of the chest. And you could feel the pressure. And it actually, after like a coughing spell, like it'd be so painful. So, and then they found pneumonia in my lungs, which wasn't fun. Right. But they prescribed a steroid, albuterol, a Z-Pak, and Tylenol and cough suppressant. But what was really bizarre is like the first week it was like, oh yeah, it is just the flu. And I thought I kicked it on day 7, and day 8 was just kicked my tail right to the ground. But it was awful for me, and the kids, they had it so mild that they handled it very, very well. But it was because it was scary to see your kids go through it too. And I mean, we don't know. We know quite a bit more about the virus, but for what we do know right now,
yeah.
We gradually are getting to know more. But it's just scary when your kids have it.
Sure it is.
I was so tired to the point where to make dinner or to get up to do anything for them was difficult, and having us all under one roof, and yeah, it was quite the challenge. But what I did, my coach, IFBB Pro Whitney Jones, she said, I don't care what, about like your carbs and stuff. Like, I don't care about that. Just get your protein in. Whatever you do, get your protein in. So what I did for that, because like getting up to eat eggs or anything was just daunting to make them or whatever. So I ended up, I have this Egg Whites International makes a liquid egg whites that's drinkable. So it's been processed, and I think I went through 9 gallons in 3 weeks, but I drank my protein every single day, just like Whitney said. And yeah, and I ate what carbs that I could. So I'd have oatmeal a couple times a day. I craved ramen noodles. I have no idea why. It's like the junkiest food on the planet, but I wanted ramen noodles. So I had a couple cups of those a day. And I had lots of celery juice, and citrus and chicken broth is pretty much was my diet for those 3 weeks. And I kept the vitamins up. And what I did take, I took a zinc
Mhm.
A friend of mine gave me a bottle of zinc and 2 droppers under the tongue. I did that 3 times a day. Vitamin D3 in a liquid form, oregano oil, which is what my coach recommended, a couple drops of oregano oil anytime I wanted throughout the day, vitamin C, daily vitamin, fish oil, and B complex. And that seemed to help. Every time I took the B vitamins, it seemed to energize me a lot,
Okay.
is what I noticed from that. So those are all definitely beneficial.
Yeah.
And it's funny, on the 14th day, I was like, okay, I'm ready for you to go. The 14th day, I tried to work out again, and I have a treadmill at home. And I was cleared. I was cleared to go out in public and whatnot, but I chose to stay at home. I got on the treadmill and I started walking. My normal warm up is incline of 3 at 3.8 miles per hour. I did that for about 2 minutes and I was winded. So I dropped the incline to 0 and I walked to 2.5. And I managed to just do that, turn my brain off for about 35 minutes. And it wiped me out. I was humbled. I couldn't believe it. I slept all day and it was just too soon. So I took about 3 or 4 more days of rest. I knew it was too soon to go back. So I listened to my body. And about the 4th day after that treadmill incident, I went back to the gym and I was craving legs for whatever reason. I just wanted to do legs. So I did my normal workout, but I cut that in half. So there were 6 exercises and I cut that in half to 3. And then the sets were like, between 4 and 5. So I just cut them to 2 sets. So 3 exercises, 2 sets each, very light. And I was so sore the next day. It was unbelievable. If I done that whole workout, it would have been way, way, way too much.
Yeah.
So I just kept that plan for the whole week and I just cut it. And even if I thought I could do more, which, you kind of get into the groove when you get to the gym, and you're like, I can do more. And then you end up regretting it sometimes. I just left it right there. I'm like, I'm cutting while I'm ahead. And it was the right thing. Like I was lightly sore and I was able to, add another exercise the next week and then add on to that. And I'm almost back 100%. My coach said not to do any HIIT training yet. We're going to just drop that for the next couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to let me know when she thinks I'm ready to go back to that. But I do steady state, just walking on the incline, basically. Maybe some walking lunges. I do that 6 times a week for 30 minutes. And then I'll go back to the gym and do my regular lifting. I'm not back to full strength yet, but I'm up, all the sets and all the exercises. So
Okay.
I built that up gradually.
Yeah, that's great. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on is you don't typically fit the mold that we normally hear in say the mainstream media about who gets COVID. Usually it's you hear about people who have, coexisting problems, diabetes, heart disease. You don't fit that mold at all. Anybody looks you up finds that you are an extremely fit woman. I mean, I follow you on Instagram. I see what you're doing, in the gym. You're working out hard, and yet this still got you. So for the people watching us, there are definitely outliers who will get COVID who don't fit the traditional mold that you're hearing about, the older, the people who have, health issues and stuff like that. I would agree that high intensity interval training, not in the equation for right now. There's a lot of unknowns that when it comes to COVID that I don't think we'll know for a long time. I did see something that came up on my computer screen a few months ago that maybe high intensity exercise after COVID may not be a great idea. I believe it was a doctor, and I can email you the article. It was nothing really on humans, but there was a doctor who was saying that maybe there may be some heart damage, and perhaps maybe, getting, clearance by a doctor, getting an EKG done first before you progress to high intensity exercise might be a way to go. Again, there's not a lot of research on this. And again, I looked at it and I'm like, it could be some speculation on his part based on maybe some people he's seeing. I haven't seen any long-term, clinical trials on this to find out what happens long-term. I don't know, but I would agree. Listen to your body. And if you're not feeling good with HIIT or incline training or anything like that, yeah, don't do it. Listen to your body. I would not use the, say, heart rate method, 220 minus age. You use the RPE scale. How do you feel on a scale from 0 to 10? A 0 is at where you're at right now. You're doing nothing. A 10 is the hardest exercise you've ever done. And every couple of seconds, from now, you'll have to stop. So maybe you keep it maybe around a 3 or a 4 or 5, kind of a moderate pace.
Mhm.
Um, there's just, again, there's just so many unknowns when it comes to this. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about exercise after COVID. So, when you told me this happened to you, I thought, let's just see if we can move the needle forward and help other people about, how you're recovering. It sounds like you're taking vitamin D, you're taking zinc, which again, there is some research that some of these vitamins and minerals appear to be having some effect. I think more research needs to be done on these things, but still can't hurt short term. And vitamin D, most of us usually come out lower in vitamin D anyway. So upping your intake, especially in the wintertime, is probably a good idea. I up my vitamin D intake in the winter, and I cut it back down in the summer when I'm out biking and stuff like that. So yeah, and again, you said you were basically out of commission for like 2-3 weeks. So when you said
Mhm.
you went back and you cut it in half to like 2 sets, my spidey sense started tingling. I'm like, oh, she's going to have some muscle soreness the next day, and you did. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's
it
something.
was painful. It was painful.
Yeah, that's something else for
Mhm.
people to remember, because, people who like to work out, they don't want to be down for the count with the flu or anything. And so when they get back, they're like, I want to go back to the full intensity I had before. And remember, we atrophy fairly quickly, especially the aerobic energy system, your cardiovascular wise. There is some evidence that you may atrophy aerobically a little faster than with your muscles atrophy. So that kind of made a little bit of sense why, even at that incline, which is a pretty steep incline, might clean your clock for a little bit. So starting back slowly, I think, is a wise decision for everybody watching us. Don't go back and try to do the very same thing you did before you got sick, because that's not going to help it matters at all. And again, remember, exercise can even affect the immune system. And too much exercise does appear to show that it depresses the immune system, which may not be a great thing when you want to have a strong immune system. So it sounds like you're doing the right thing. You're listening to your body, you're taking things slowly. Where are you at now with working out? I mean, are you back to your full workout schedule?
I am. I keep the cardio steady state, and I do 35 minutes fasted, and it's just, yeah, like I said, it's just still walking on an incline, and I increase the incline for a couple minutes, and then when I back off, I keep a heart rate monitor
Yeah.
on, and when my heart rate goes too high, I back off,
Okay.
and then I go back to the gym in the afternoon, and I'll do my full lift. And I am back to the full schedule, the full reps, and the whole thing.
Yeah.
um, Maybe just not as much weight as I did going into it.
Yeah.
But that'll come back.
It
I
will.
just, I'm just really cautious.
I think that's wise. By the way, did you tell the gym you had COVID? And if yes, what did they say?
I did. And actually a couple of the people at the gym, they had COVID as well, the same time I did, which was a little ironic again. Um, but they were okay with it. I mean, as long as you're out of, you're out of quarantine and
Right.
cleared by the state. Colorado does an excellent job of
Good.
following each case with the contact tracing. I had, yeah, and the state would call me at least once a day and say, how is everybody? I mean, it was really nice.
Have you went back to your doctor, by the way, after you get out of the hospital, and have you had any tests done?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. They didn't require it. I agree with you, like you said in the beginning of the cast about, maybe going in and getting an EKG and
Mhm.
making sure, because that inflammation around the heart. I mean, I was doing some reading, and that's pretty serious.
It is.
Um, yeah, especially among athletes. If you go back too soon and you try to do, I mean, there was that. Yeah, I read about the college basketball player from Florida State over the summer. Went back too soon, I believe, and
Mm.
suffered a heart attack and died. Um, just a young kid. So that inflammation around the heart, and I'm assuming, what's your take? Like when I was on the treadmill, at 2.5, no incline. I'm basically walking very like a snail. Do you think I had inflammation around the heart and I was just too tired? Like it's bizarre. Like,
It's quite possible, but it's also possible you said you had pneumonia, so you still could have some lung issues, which could be
mhm.
impeding your ability to take in oxygen. Plus the fact that you were down for the count for a few weeks. So again, you atrophied a little bit, not a lot, but when you try to go back after this insult on the body, and that's what COVID is. It's a massive insult, and you try to do anything again, it kind of takes the wind out of your sails really fast. Again, you could even check back with your doctor and see if they tested you for inflammation, or maybe around the heart. I mean, they can do a quickie little blood test and measure something called CRP. That's C-reactive protein. Sometimes they test for that as a measure of inflammation. They probably did, and my guess is they probably have that information somewhere. But who knows if you had it around the heart or not. I would say, don't think about it. Just listen to your body, go back slowly, and even it may take you a little time. Even maybe a few more months to get back to where you were before this. But I think the important thing is you will. Just going to take some time. And I know with fitness people, we want it yesterday, and yeah, especially somebody of your caliber. So I think that listen to your body and going slowly is probably the best course of advice, at least until we get a better idea of what's going on with this virus in terms of exercise and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
yeah. Well, do you have any words of wisdom for people who are watching us right now who, hey, may have COVID or maybe recovering and they're thinking, I want to go back to the gym. Do you have any words you want to say to them about this?
Absolutely. If you think you need to go to the doctor, go. Definitely go, because had I'd waited a couple more days, I think the pneumonia would have been a lot worse. And the last place you want to go when you have COVID is the doctor. You don't even want to get out of bed, but definitely go. And yeah, when you go back, your energy will come back a lot slower than you think. I mean, the flu, it seemed like, day after day after day, you'd almost be back. It was a lot faster with the flu. This is slower than I ever thought it would be. But you just have to focus on the improvement that you see each day. Like, okay, I'm better than I was yesterday by a little, but you got to celebrate that as a win. And yeah, just like you said, just listen to your body and start just the first time you go back to the gym, treat it like an experiment, and go and just do a couple things and then go home and see how you feel. Don't do too much too soon, because it will set you back. It will set you back. Like when I did that treadmill thing on the 14th day, it set me back a few days. All I wanted to do was sleep. So those would be my words of advice.
That's good. That's good. Amy, I appreciate your time in helping to again move the needle forward and help other people. I know I know what your words are going to benefit a lot of people watching us right now all over the world. So can't thank you enough.
Thank you for having me on. I enjoyed it very, very much, and I enjoy your page and all the information you give everybody. It's a blessing.
I
So
appreciate
thank you.
it. I appreciate that, Amy. Thank you very much.